The blood test that changed everything. Jason Hill was just an ordinary man. He lived alone, worked in a warehouse, and had very little money. Life was simple to simple. So when he saw a strange ad on his phone saying easy credits, off-world medical study, healthy human males needed, he didn't think twice. He clicked it, filled out the form, and within 1 hour a small black van arrived outside his apartment. Two silent men stepped out. They wore dark clothes and strange silver pins on their collars. One looked at Jason and said, "You signed the agreement, we leave now." Jason laughed awkwardly. "Is this a joke?" The man didn't answer. He simply opened the van's door. Inside were smooth walls, soft white seats, and a strange humming sound. Jason hesitated, but then he remembered the ad, one blood sample equals 100,000 credits. He got in. The van didn't drive anywhere. It flew. Jason gripped his seat as the van lifted into the air and sped toward the clouds. "Okay, this is serious," he whispered. Within minutes, they arrived at a secret facility on a floating platform above the earth. A large dome-shaped building stood in the center, glowing with soft blue lights. Everything was clean, cold, and quiet. They led Jason inside. He was taken to a silver chair, and a tall woman in a white uniform stepped in. She had glowing blue eyes. "I'm Dr. Varen," she said calmly. "Just a small blood sample today." Jason smiled nervously. "So, you guys are human, right?" No answer. She took the blood quickly and left. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Jason waited alone in the white room. Suddenly, the lights turned red. An alarm blared. A voice echoed from above. "Subject match detected. Lockdown protocol activated." "What the hell?" Jason shouted, standing up, but the door locked behind him. He was trapped. Two guards rushed in, holding glowing batons. Jason raised his hands. "Ho! What's going on?" "I just came for some quick cash." Then Dr. Varen returned, this time with 3 more scientists. They stared at him like he was some rare animal. "You don't understand," she said quietly. "Your DNA isn't just special. It's the only match we've found in 9,000 years. Jason blinked. Match? Match for what? The doctor walked up slowly. "A queen." They took him to another room, this one darker. In the center was a large glass tube filled with glowing blue liquid. Inside floated a woman. She didn't look human. Her skin was soft violet, her hair moved like smoke, her eyes were closed, and her body was hooked too many silver wires. "She is Queen Alira," the doctor said. "The last of her species. She's been in stasis for 600 years. Jason stared, confused. "What does this have to do with me?" "Her body is dying. Only one type of DNA can save her. We've searched across stars, thousands of planets." Jason stepped back. "And I'm the match." "You are," the doctor said. "Your blood may be the key to waking her and restoring her people." Jason laughed. "This is insane. I work at a warehouse." She looked serious. "You also signed the contract. I thought this was just for a test. Now you are part of something much bigger." Jason turned to look at the floating alien queen again. She was beautiful in a strange way, not human, not scary, just different, and somehow peaceful. Then the queen's eyes opened. For a long moment, nothing moved. Jason froze. She looked directly at him, even through the thick glass. Her eyes glowed softly, not angry, not cold. Curious. The doctor whispered. "She's never opened her eyes before, not in 600 years." Jason stepped forward, slowly. Her hand twitched inside the glass. Jason raised his own hand. For some reason, he placed it gently on the glass, mirroring hers. The lights in the room changed color. Soft white light flooded the area. A strange sound filled the room like singing. But not from a mouth, it came from her mind. Jason heard her voice not through his ears, but in his head. "You are the one, the last light. My people live if you stay." Jason pulled back, shocked. "What was that?" he asked. "Was that real?" Dr. Varen nodded. "The merge has begun. You are linked." Jason looked at the alien queen. Her hand was still pressed against the glass. Her eyes were open, and she was breathing. He didn't know how, or why, or what would happen next. But deep down, he knew his life would never be the same again. Taken to her world, Jason didn't sleep that night. How could he? Only hours ago, he was just a guy with no future working a boring job, eating cold noodles at home. Now, he was linked to an alien queen. His DNA had awakened her, and her first words weren't in English, but he heard them clearly in his mind. "You are the one. My people live if you stay." The next morning, the scientists gave Jason new clothes, tight black fabric with glowing lines. It fit like a second skin. Dr. Varen walked beside him. "It's time, we leave now." Jason blinked. "Leave where?" "To her world." Before he could argue, he was led into a glowing circular room. In the center was a tall ring, spinning with strange blue energy. The walls pulsed like a heart. A large glass pod hovered nearby. Inside was Queen Alira, awake now. Watching him, Jason felt her voice in his mind again. "Do not fear. You belong here more than you know. The ring powered up, the entire room filled with light. Jason felt his body shake like he was falling and flying at the same time. Everything around him became a blur, colors twisting, stars bending. Then silence. He opened his eyes. They were no longer on Earth. Jason stood on a wide stone platform in the sky. Above him, twin moons glowed softly. Strange glowing trees stretched across endless floating islands. Giant purple birds flew in the distance. The air smelled sweet like rain after fire. Alira's glass pod floated beside him and gently lowered onto a marble base. She stepped out. Jason couldn't look away, now fully awake. Queen Alira was even more beautiful. Not in a human way but in a way that made his chest feel tight. Her eyes glowed violet. Her long silver-black hair moved as if touched by wind, though there was none. She wore a flowing dress of silver and black, with glowing threads across the fabric like living starlight. You brought me here, Jason said, still amazed. She walked toward him slowly. This is my world, or what remains of it. He turned and saw the ruins in the distance. Towers broken, cities silent. What happened here? Alira looked up. We were once many, now I am the last. Jason felt her pain not just in her voice, but in his heart, like her emotions were touching his mind. Why me? He asked. Why is my DNA special? Alira raised her hand and a glowing light appeared above her palm, an image of her people, tall, elegant beings, proud and powerful. Our bloodline was once pure, she said. But the wars, the radiation, the silence that followed, it changed us. We could not reproduce, our bodies failed, our children did not survive. The image faded, but you're kind to humans, your cells carry life, yours matched mine, perfectly. Jason felt dizzy. So what now? Do I become some kind of king? Alira gave a soft smile. Not yet. First, you must survive. They walked through the ruins. Strange machines lay broken. Statues of ancient queens stood cracked and forgotten. Jason touched one. This place was beautiful. Alira nodded. And it will be again, but only if you choose to stay. Jason paused. What if I don't? She looked at him with calm sadness. Then I return to sleep, and my world dies with me. He didn't know what to say. Later, in a glowing chamber under the palace, Jason met the scientists again. Though they were not human, they had long arms, glowing skin, and crystal-like eyes. They scanned his body, tested his blood again, and placed a strange ring on his chest. It sank into his skin without pain and began to pulse with light. Alira explained, this will connect us. It will protect you while we prepare for the merge. Jason looked confused. What merge? But she didn't answer. That night, Jason stood on a balcony, staring at the alien stars. They looked different, older, like they had seen too much. Alira joined him. She stood beside him quietly, her presence calming and warm. You have questions, she said. Too many, Jason replied. She looked up at the sky. Then stay long enough to find the answers. He turned to her. This isn't just about saving your people, is it? No, she said. It is also about saving mine and yours. Jason frowned. What do you mean? But again, she didn't answer. Instead, she reached for his hand. For a moment, they stood in silence. Human and alien, to survivors in a galaxy full of ghosts. And Jason realized something he hadn't felt in years. He didn't feel alone anymore. The compatibility trial. Jason woke up in a strange room. The walls were glowing with soft blue light, like moonlight underwater. There was no bed, just a smooth platform he had slept on, and soft music in the air. He sat up slowly. He wasn't on Earth. And this wasn't a dream. The glowing mark on his chest pulsed once, gently, like it was alive. Then the door opened. Queen Alira entered, wearing a long silver robe. Behind her were two tall alien attendants, holding strange glowing devices. It's time, she said. For what? Jason asked. Standing for the compatibility trial, she replied. Jason was led down a crystal hallway. Every step echoed. Strange lights floated above them, reacting to Alira's presence. The walls showed visions, memories of her people, their greatness, their fall. At the end of the hall was a giant circular chamber. In the center was a glowing platform. On the walls were dozens of tall alien judges, watching silently from shadowed seats. Jason felt nervous. This is a courtroom. No, Alira whispered. This is where fate is tested. She stepped away. Jason was now alone on the platform. A voice echoed through the chamber. Human Jason Hill of Earth, do you agree to enter the trial of binding? Jason looked around. Do I have a choice? Alira's voice entered his mind gently. Say yes. I will protect you. Jason took a deep breath. Yes. The platform glowed. Light rose around him like fire. Suddenly he was no longer there. Jason blinked. The chamber was gone. He was in a dark forest. The sky was purple. Strange sounds echoed between the trees. He looked at his hands. They were glowing faintly. Where is this? Then he heard it. A deep growl behind him. He turned and saw it. A massive creature. Black skin, 6 legs, red eyes. It roared and Charged, Jason ran. The forest twisted around him. Roots moved. Shadows chased him suddenly. A voice called out Alira's voice in his mind. This is not real, but your fear is. Face it, Jason. He stopped. Turned around. The beast was inches away. Jason lifted his hands and the light from his chest burst outward. A beam of white-blue energy struck the beast, blasting it back into smoke. Everything turned to light. Jason gasped and opened his eyes. He was back in the chamber. The judges were watching, silent. Alira stepped forward. Trial 1 passed. Jason collapsed to his knees. How many more? 2, Alira said softly. The next will test your heart. Jason groaned. Great. Later, he was taken to a new chamber. Inside was a projection earth, his old apartment, his old job. Familiar smells, familiar sounds. Jason saw himself sitting on the couch, alone, eating noodles. Suddenly, the projection spoke with his own voice. Go back, Jason. This isn't your world. She's using you. You don't belong there, Jason. Looked around. This is fake. But the voice replied, no, this is what you miss. Comfort, safety. Your world. He saw his sister's face, his old friend's. It hurt. Alira's voice came into his mind again. If you want to leave, I will not stop you. Jason closed his eyes. His life on Earth was quiet. Boring, but safe. Here everything was dangerous, unknown, and yet here he felt alive. He clenched his fists. I choose to stay, he whispered. The projection vanished. Trial 2 passed. Now, the final trial. Jason stood in front of a silver mirror. In it, he saw himself. But not as he was, as something more, stronger. Older, eyes glowing like Alira's. Then the mirror shattered, and a voice spoke, deep and ancient. Will you accept who you are becoming? Jason didn't answer right away, but then he remembered Alira's eyes, her sadness, and her hope. Yes, he said. The chamber exploded with light. Jason collapsed again, breathing heavily. He was back. Alira knelt beside him, gently touching his face. You have passed all trials, she said softly. You are now ready for the merge. Jason laughed weakly. You aliens love drama, huh? Alira smiled. You have no idea. That night, Jason stood on a tower, looking over the strange stars. He wasn't just a visitor anymore. He was a part of something bigger. And deep inside, he felt it growing, a bond with Alira. Something more than science. Something like destiny. The genetic merge. Jason stood on the edge of the balcony, the alien world stretching out before him. The twin moons above cast long, eerie shadows over the floating islands and broken cities below. It felt unreal. The trials, the tests, the strange powers inside him, all of it was impossible. And yet, here he was, standing on a dying alien world, connected to a queen who had saved him and who needed him to survive. His heart raced as he thought of the final trial he had passed. The voice in the mirror asking if he would accept who he was becoming, and he had said yes, but now, the real challenge was about to begin. Jason. Alira's voice echoed in his mind. It is time, the merge must begin. Jason turned to see her standing in the doorway. Her violet eyes glowing softly in the dim light. Her presence filled the room, calm yet powerful. She wore a flowing silver robe that shimmered with every movement. I'm ready, Jason said. Though his voice trembled slightly, he didn't understand it all. But he trusted her, and that was something he had never felt before. Especially not for someone so different from him. Alira stepped forward, her long fingers brushing his cheek. You will be fine. The merge is the final step. After this, we will be connected forever. Jason nodded, trying to calm the racing thoughts in his mind. Forever? How does it work? The process will bond our DNA, she said, her voice both soothing and filled with a strange sense of finality. Your human blood and my alien genetics will combine, creating a new form of life. Together, we will be able to bring my people back. It is the only way. Jason swallowed hard. And if I don't survive, you will, she answered simply. But if you do not accept this, we both will perish. They moved to a dark chamber inside the palace. The walls were lined with glowing runes, ancient and powerful. In the center was a large, crystalline pod surrounded by strange devices that hummed with energy. Jason felt a wave of anxiety. This doesn't seem like something people come back from. It's not easy, Alira said, her hand gripping his tightly. But this is our only hope. Do you trust me? Jason looked into her eyes. There was a deep sadness in the man, ancient sorrow that he couldn't understand, yet somehow felt in his own chest. I trust you, he said, his voice steady. Let's do it. They stepped into the pod together. It closed around them, sealing them in the soft blue glow. Jason could feel his heart beating faster as the light intensified, wrapping around him like tendrils of energy. Alira's presence was overwhelming, strong, steady, and reassuring. A soft, melodic hum filled the chamber, and Jason felt something stir within him. It wasn't just his body, it was his mind. A deep connection was starting to form. His blood seemed to heat, as if something inside him was waking up. Alira's voice entered his mind again. Relax, Jason, the process is beginning, let the energy flow, let it merge with you. Jason closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He let the strange energy fill his veins. Let the connection between them deepen. His skin tingled, his muscles grew warm. He felt a strange sensation in his chest, like something growing, twisting, and shifting. It was unlike anything he had ever felt before. Suddenly, the world around him flickered. Colors twisted. The pod seemed to expand and contract as if it were alive. Jason opened his eyes and saw Alira, her face glowing with an ethereal light. Her body was glowing now, a soft violet aura surrounding her, and in that moment, Jason knew. He could feel her thoughts, her memories, her pain. He saw the destruction of her people, the wars, the deaths, the desperate loneliness that had followed. And then her hope, her will to survive, her need to find a mate. Someone who could bring life back to her world. He was that hope, her last chance. The energy around them intensified. Jason gasped as a flood of emotions crashed through him, joy, sorrow, rage, and hope all at once. His body itched, his heart racing as their DNA began to blend. It wasn't painful, but it was overwhelming. Jason could feel Alira's presence inside his mind, inside his heart. As if they were becoming one, he tried to hold on, tried to focus. But it felt like the whole universe was pushing against him, and then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Jason blinked, his vision clearing. He was no longer inside the pod. Instead, he stood in the chamber. But everything around him felt different. He felt different. Alira was standing beside him, her eyes glowing brighter than before. Her violet skin seemed to shimmer with energy. What just happened? Jason asked, his voice trembling. We are one now, Alira said, her voice calm, but filled with power. The merge is complete. My people have been reborn. Jason looked down at his hands. His skin was glowing faintly with violet energy. Just like hers, he could feel the power inside him. His body had changed. He was no longer just human. He could feel it in his blood, in his soul. Am I? Jason began, but he didn't know how to finish the question. You are both human and something new, Alira said softly. Together, we will rebuild my people. Jason turned to her, his heart racing. He didn't know what the future held. But one thing was clear now. He was part of something much bigger than himself, and somehow, he felt more alive than ever before. Enemies within. Jason stood beside Queen Alira in the great hall of the palace. It was quiet now. To quiet. Outside, the world was slowly healing. The floating gardens had started glowing again. The sky above had shifted from cold gray to soft purple. All of it was connected to Alira's life force, and now, also to his. But Jason couldn't enjoy the beauty. Something felt wrong. Ever since the merge, his mind had become sharper, his senses stronger. And now, this screamed a silent warning. Someone close to Alira was hiding something. Inside the palace, the alien scientists and royal staff bowed to Alira. They bowed to Jason too. Now, but behind their glowing eyes, he could sense it. Fear. Not all of them had wanted Alira to return. Not all of them wanted her to be bonded to a human. Later that day, Alira took Jason deep underground. This was once the Temple of Light, she explained, the place where all royal births began. Now, we hope to bring life again. They stood before a vault, an ancient chamber sealed for centuries. The merge had activated it. Only their combined DNA could open the door. Jason placed his hand on the lock. Alira did the same. The vault began to glow, and then bang, a blast shook the room. The lights flickered. Alira grabbed Jason's arm. They found us. Who? Jason asked, heart pounding. The ones who betrayed my bloodline. The door behind them exploded. Two armored figures rushed in, alien guards, but their armor was black, not silver. Jason reacted fast. He raised his hand. The glowing ring in his chest flared, and a pulse of energy pushed them back. One guard slammed into the wall. The other raised a weapon, a curved rod glowing red. Jason barely dodged. Alira leaped forward, faster than he'd ever seen. With a single motion, she struck the attacker with a blast of violet light. The room fell silent again. Alira touched the wall, breathing hard. They were part of the shadow circle, she whispered. They opposed the merge. They wanted me dead, and you never found. Jason's heart raced. So this was planned. Alira nodded. Even among my people, there were those who believed mixing bloodlines was a betrayal. Jason frowned. But they used me, brought me here. They hoped you would fail the trials. They never thought the merge would succeed. Jason clenched his fists. Then they'll keep coming. Alira looked at him. Unless we strike first. Later that night, Jason couldn't sleep. He stood on the balcony again, staring into the alien stars. His hands still glowed softly. He was changing more every day, faster, stronger. His thoughts clearer. He heard every sound in the palace now, and then he heard footsteps. Thought silent, careful, moving toward his door. He turned just as the door opened. It wasn't Alira. It was Dr. Varen. She entered slowly, her hands empty, but her eyes hard. I didn't want it to be you, she said quietly. Jason stepped back. You knew I was part of the original team, she said. We searched hundreds of worlds. We took samples from thousands of humans. You were the first match. Then why try to kill me? I believed the old ways should end with her. The queen's bloodline was sacred. Mixing it with a human was unthinkable. Jason narrowed his eyes, and now, Varen's voice softened. Now I see that it worked. You're alive. She's stronger, but that doesn't mean the others will stop. Jason frowned. Who are the others? Varen looked around, then stepped closer. There are still spies in the palace. They'll strike soon. They want to destroy the Vault of Seeds before it opens. If they do, Alira's people will never return. Jason's pulse quickened, then we stop them. You help us, she nodded once. I'll do what I can, but trust no one, Jason, not even me. The next morning, Jason and Alira gathered loyal allies. Only 5, they met in a hidden chamber beneath the throne room, where the queen's ancestors once made war plans. Jason stood tall. Armor now formed from his own energy. His body had changed even more overnight. He was becoming something new, something powerful. Alira spoke quietly. We are hunted in our own home, but we will not hide. Tonight we protect the vault, and we face the traitors. Jason nodded. If we lose this, her people die forever. I won't let that happen. That night, the palace dimmed. Outside, the stars vanished behind black clouds. Inside the vault room, Jason and Alira waited in silence, and in the shadows, something moved. The last battle for her species. Darkness filled the chamber. Jason stood beside Queen Alira, just outside the glowing Vault of Seeds, the ancient container of her people's last hopes. 5 loyal guards hid in the shadows, weapons ready. Jason's heart pounded, but he didn't feel fear, not anymore. Ever since the merge, he had changed. He could see in the dark now, hear thoughts, feel emotions from across the room. His skin shimmered with faint energy. He was no longer just human. And tonight, that would be tested. A whisper echoed in the air. A flicker of movement. Jason turned instantly. They're here. Alira raised her hand, and the glowing walls lit up, shadows danced, and suddenly 6 black armored intruders burst from every corner of the chamber. Blades made of red energy hummed in their hands. Jason shouted, "Protect the vault!" And the battle began. One attacker lunged straight at Jason. But Jason didn't move. He simply raised his palm. A burst of blue light shot forward, throwing the attacker across the room. Another guard rushed at Alira, but she moved with graceful speed, her body a blur of silver light. She struck the attacker with one beam and he froze in midair, trapped in stasis. 2 more came for the vault. Jason charged forward. His body moved like liquid lightning. He jumped, rolled, and landed between the traitors and the vault, slamming his fists down. The floor cracked and a shockwave rippled through the room. One intruder dropped instantly, but the other was different. The last attacker stepped forward slowly. He removed his helmet. Jason froze. It was Dr. Varen. Why? Jason shouted. You warned me. I lied, she said coldly. You needed fear to make you stronger. I needed you to lead me here. Alira's face hardened. You betrayed your oath. Varen smirked. I serve something greater than you, Queen, a new empire without weakness, without human blood. Jason's fists clenched. You'll never touch the vault. Varen raised a small device and pressed it. The vault's walls began to crack. Alira screamed. Her body glowed bright with pain. Jason rushed forward, but Varen was faster. She blasted Jason with a red pulse. He flew backward, crashing into the wall. The energy burned, but something inside him pushed back. He stood up slowly, eyes glowing. Blue-white, you shouldn't have done that, Jason growled. He ran forward, faster than before, and punched the air. A wave of pure force exploded from his fist. Varen was thrown into the far wall hard. The device shattered in her hand. The vault sealed again. The battle was over, but the cost was clear. 2 loyal guards were injured. One lay unconscious. Jason walked over to Varen. She was barely breathing. I thought you wanted to save her people, he said. I wanted to save purity, she coughed. Not this mixed mess. Alira knelt beside her, her eyes calm. You still don't understand, she said softly. He didn't ruin my bloodline, he completed it. Later, Jason and Alira stood alone before the vault. It's time, Alira said. Jason nodded. They placed their hands together on the vault's core. It glowed brighter than ever before, blinding light, energy rising like music. The walls shook. The room filled with a deep hum. Then, the vault opened. Inside were crystal pods. Hundreds of them, each held a sleeping alien child, soft light pulsing in their chests. They were alive. Jason stared in wonder. They survived. They were preserved, Alira whispered, but they needed something to wake them. Something alive, something compatible. Jason suddenly understood. It was never just about us, he said. It was about them. Alira turned to him, a tear falling from her glowing eye. You gave them hope. The chamber brightened as the children began to stir. Life was returning to her world. And Jason, just a man from Earth, was now a father to a new generation of stars. A new world begins. Skies above the alien world were no longer gray. For the first time in centuries, the air shimmered with warmth. Twin suns rose over the floating islands, casting golden light on crystal towers, glowing trees, and the new city being built from the ruins, and at the center of it all stood Jason. No longer just human, no longer alone. Beside him stood Queen Alira, radiant in silver robes, her eyes filled with pride. And behind them hundreds of young aliens. Children. Born from the vault, reborn from extinction. Jason had helped save a species, and now he had to lead them. Jason stood on a platform above the newborn city. Crowds of aliens gathered below, some old survivors returning from hiding. Many new children awakening from the pods, learning, growing fast. They looked at him not just with curiosity but with hope. He took a deep breath and spoke in a strong, clear voice. I came here by accident. I thought I was nobody, just a man, but this world chose me. And now I choose it. We are not human, we are not alien. We are something new, and together we will build a future. The crowd erupted in light and sound, flashes of color, energy bursts, alien cheers. It was the beginning of a new age. Days passed. Jason walked through the gardens with Alira. Flowers bloomed that hadn't existed for centuries. The trees sang softly. The world was healing. Because Alira was healing and their bond had become the core of it. I still don't feel like a king, Jason said, half smiling. You are more than a king, Alira replied gently. You are a seed of the stars now. Jason laughed. Still sounds cooler than my Earth job. They walked in silence for a moment until Alira stopped. There's something you should know, she said. Jason raised an eyebrow. Another trial. She shook her head. A message came from deep space. Jason's chest tightened. From who? Alira looked at the sky. From Earth. Jason stood in the old palace chamber, looking at the glowing screen. A message played. It was from a human spaceship, one of Earth's secret deep space fleets. They had been tracking Jason since his sudden disappearance. The video showed uniformed officers, scientists, and a general with cold eyes. We know you're alive. We know you merged with the alien queen. We're coming. The message ended. Jason looked at Alira. They're not coming to celebrate, are they? No, she said. They want control. They fear what we've become. Jason's hands clenched. Then we'll show them who we are. 1 week later, the sky above the planet darkened. Two Earth ships entered orbit. Jason stood with Alira on the command tower, watching the humans arrive. He wore a long cloak now, his body glowing with energy. He didn't feel fear anymore, only responsibility. Alira's voice entered his mind. If we must fight, we will. But if we can teach them, if we can show them, maybe your kind doesn't have to repeat our mistakes. Jason nodded slowly. Then let's greet them. The humans landed in a steel ship, weapons ready. Jason stepped forward alone, glowing, calm, strong. I'm not your property, he said. And this world isn't yours to take. The human general raised a weapon. You've bonded with an alien queen, altered your DNA. That makes you a threat. Jason's eyes lit up. No, that makes me the future. And then something happened. The children came from behind the towers, hundreds of alien-human hybrids, eyes glowing softly, peaceful and curious. One of them walked to Jason and held his hand. The general lowered his weapon. He had seen it, not danger, but life. Back in the sky, the Earth ships turned. They left. No shots fired. Later, Alira and Jason stood on the balcony once more, watching the new stars rise. We could have fought, Jason said, but we didn't have to. You gave them a choice, Alira replied. Jason looked at her, a soft smile forming. And now what? He asked. Alira took his hand. Now we build. And in the distance, towers began to rise. Children laughed, the world sang, and a new species born from Earth and stars began its first day. Together,